Hey everyone, we are here at GAMA Expo with Danni, who you've seen on our channel many times before. At every convention, we make a point to stop by here, not only because we like talking with Danni, but she always has some great games to show us. And she's with Hachette, by the way, and they've got a ton of games to talk about. I think this might be more games than we've seen you have at like Gen Con.
I know, each show I add one more to the table.
But we're only going to talk about a few of them here. And Jeremy and I, Jeremy's the cameraman, by the way, right now. Say hello to everyone, Jeremy. We actually played Sky Team today. It's about a pilot and a co-pilot trying to land a plane.
Safely.
Yeah, most times safely. Jeremy and I didn't do quite so well today, but it is a really interesting game where you're placing dice, but you can't really talk to each other as you're doing it. You can strategize beforehand, but you're placing dice and keeping the plane steady, not making sure it's not going too fast, things like that. But what more can you tell us about Sky Team?
So this is coming out. We'll have early copies at Gen Con. Pre-orders will be opening soon, so keep an eye out. It's our most anticipated. Just like Turing Machine was last year. It's from the same studio, Scorpion Masqué. This is their newest hit. We are trying to land our plane safely at the airport. The game comes with 10 different airports, each with an easy and a hard mode and a campaign with modules. So you're going to get a ton of play out of this box. But yeah, it's like David said, you and your partner, your pilot and co-pilot, can talk and strategize as much as you like until you roll your dice. And then you're going to take turns placing them one at a time and trying to solve each other's messes because you're kind of held to the whims of the dice. Your dice will be rolled behind your player screen so you can't see what each other have. And yeah, you're trying to keep the wings level. You're trying to clear the tarmac of oncoming traffic. You're trying to actually get closer to the airport as you descend and open up your wing flaps and your landing gear and I guess brake, which is where these two had some difficulty.
Yeah, you definitely
morning.
want to have landing gear by the time you land,
yes.
Generally speaking.
Yes.
I'm not a pilot in real life, but I know that.
Yes. You can also serve yourself a cup of coffee if you need some increased concentration. It's helpful sometimes.
It's necessary. It's the only way to mitigate the dice. So drink your coffee for sure.
Yep. But yeah, you play with the first scenario, 6 rounds, taking turns each time with whoever is first. And this game is hard to describe unless you've experienced it.
It really is.
There's tension between you and your co-pilot with your dice placement. You're like, we talked about playing high numbers this round. What are you doing with a 1? And so you have to solve problems together without talking.
And to underscore what she just said, there are places on the board where you can go as your co-pilot, you can go as the pilot, but there are places where both the pilot and the co-pilot has to go. So what you find yourself doing is looking at your partner and going, I hope this is okay with you. And you place a 6 here knowing that they have to get close to a 6 or the plane is going to tilt sideways and crash.
Yep. There's several ways to lose, only one way to win, and that's by doing everything perfectly, which is harder than it seems.
It is really harder than it seems. We thought we understood it, but we crashed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, if you can tell us 2 more games.
Yes.
Vivarium?
I describe Vivarium or Vivarium.
Probably more correct.
As Pokemon meets Dominoes. So this is a set collection filler game, plays in half an hour. At the beginning of the game, each player gets 2 secret missions, one for a type of animal and one for a color. You can gain additional contracts throughout the game, but that gives you a bit of direction to go because you see there's a whole menagerie of animals here. You are trying to collect specific animals that fulfill your contracts, using equipment to get gems, which are modifiers and points, and special abilities. But the most of what you're concentrating on are these animals. Now, how do you get them? This is where the dominoes come in. Each player has a pair of dominoes, and there's one left over in the middle. So on your turn, you're going to swap one of your dominoes with the one in the middle, and then flip-flop them however you like to make coordinates. So this says, in row 2, I'm going to take the 4th card, and I get this one. The animals are worth points. They each have a type, like a species, and a color. So the game has 7 rounds. Each round has a different focus, so by collecting that type of card, you get extra points, and whoever has majority has even more extra points. So 7 rounds, you have different focuses, you have different hidden points, but it's mostly just cute.
It is adorable.
It's very...
This looks like the word delightful comes to mind for a game like that.
Yes.
Okay, last but not least, and this is kind of the game, I've been wanting to play this for a while, but what can you tell us about Tribes of the Wind?
Tribes of the Wind is our Origins release. It's going to be in retail May 24th, so very soon. Pre-orders are open on our website right now, though. This is set in a post-apocalyptic world where pollution, those red, noxious clouds, have taken over the ground, destroyed our airports, football stadiums, whatever. We can no longer live on the ground floor, so we've moved up to the trees and become these tribal nomadic people who sail on the wind from tree to tree, hence Tribes of the Wind. In the game, it's somewhat of a race, so the game end is triggered once one person builds 5 villages, these beautiful green pawns. And there's only actually 3 actions you can take in the game. You can build a village by having your wind riders completely fill up one of your trees. You can flip it over, place one of your 5 villages there. You can build a temple to get these associated bonuses, which are different for each player. It's also a nice way to cycle through your hand if you don't have anything you want to play. You can only do it 4 times though. But the action you're going to take most often is playing a card, because the cards have all of these different effects on them. The kicker of the game, the really shining aspect, is that your card effects, more often than not, are augmented in strength by what other players have. So this card says, if the player to my left and or the player to my right has fire, I do the top or the bottom action.
Interesting.
This one says, according to the number of green cards at the entire table, that's the strength of the action.
So very situational.
Yes, and it has a lot of indirect interaction, because these card holders actually come with the game, and they allow everyone to see the backs of the cards.
Oh.
So for the effects, For the effects, you're not causing people to discard. It's not mean at all. But there is this interesting layer of strategy as you're drawing and refilling your hand. It's like, okay, I know what color I need to get effects, but do I want to take a color that I think David might need to...
No.
Always. But you can't tell, because the cards are not always aligned with the type of action you're expecting. Like fire does not always have to do with smog. Sometimes it has movement, and so on. So there's a lot of layers. There's also asymmetry, like I mentioned with the boards, but you also have player powers, different ongoing effects if you can fan through them. Like once per round effects, or when I play this type of card, I get this benefit.
Oh, cool.
And so on. So that
those
changes.
are character specific?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And it plays up to 5 people. I played a 5-player game last night, and it took us 90 minutes.
Really?
Yep. It's not too long.
With some new players?
New players, yeah, 4 new players.
Plus, it's got that sweet, sweet Vincent Dutrait art, which
So good.
was probably what pulled me in the first place.
Yeah.
But anyway, those are just 3 of the games that Hachette has here at GAMA. Danni, thank you as always, and I'm sure we will see you at Origins, at Gen Con, at all the things, and we'll show all of their games then too. Thanks everyone. Make comments down below, ask us any questions. We'll try to answer what we can, even about some of the other games that they had here, and we'll see you next time.